Daniel Harwood had always envisioned a life of stability, success, and love. He aspired to build a future where everything aligned perfectly: a secure and fulfilling career that provided financial stability, a devoted wife who would be his partner in all aspects of life, and a warm, inviting home nestled in the peaceful suburbs. For a long time, this vision seemed to materialize effortlessly. Sarah, his wife, embodied everything he had ever desired in a partner. Her kindness, intelligence, and unwavering support made their relationship a source of pride for Daniel. They shared dreams, laughter, and a deep emotional bond that reinforced his belief that he had found true happiness. However, as months passed, a subtle unease crept into Daniel's heart. At first, it was nothing more than fleeting doubts, missed calls, late nights at work, and moments of unexplained distance. He dismissed these signs, chalking them up to the natural fluctuations of married life. But the feeling lingered, an insistent whisper in the back of his mind that something was amiss. It started with Sarah's phone habits. She became increasingly secretive, locking her phone the moment she entered their bedroom and engaging in late-night texting sessions, her face illuminated by the dim glow of the screen. Whenever Daniel asked about it, she would offer vague explanations or quickly change the subject. Though she acted as if nothing had changed, he could feel the growing emotional gap between them. The warmth and openness that once defined their marriage were gradually replaced by silence and evasion. Moments that used to be filled with shared conversations and laughter now felt distant, almost forced. Initially, Daniel tried to rationalize her behavior. Perhaps she was stressed from work. Maybe she needed space. But as days turned into weeks, his suspicions grew harder to ignore. The small inconsistencies in her words and actions started forming a disturbing pattern. The more he tried to convince himself that he was overreacting, the more the weight of uncertainty pressed down on him. One evening, his doubts reached a breaking point. Sarah left her phone unattended, and for the first time, Daniel felt an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth. His hands trembled as he picked up the device, his heart pounding against his ribs. What he found shattered him. Message after message from an unknown contact named Tom filled the screen. They weren't just casual conversations. They were intimate, filled with flirtation, hidden meetings, and explicit exchanges that left no room for misinterpretation. Daniel's stomach twisted as he scrolled through the messages, the weight of betrayal sinking in like a heavy stone. The reality of Sarah's infidelity struck him with a force he wasn't prepared for. The woman he had trusted, the woman he had built his future around, had been living a lie. A wave of emotions surged through him: shock, anger, heartbreak. He had been blind, deceived by the illusion of a perfect marriage while she wove a web of deceit behind his back. But amidst the turmoil, a cold determination took root. He would not allow himself to be reduced to a broken man. If Sarah had betrayed him so cruelly, she would face the consequences of her actions. Rather than confront her immediately, Daniel resolved to gather undeniable proof. He hired a private investigator, ensuring that every detail of Sarah's deception was documented. Days turned into weeks as he collected hotel receipts, photos, and messages, each piece of evidence solidifying the painful truth. The more he uncovered, the more his fury sharpened into a calculated resolve. This was no longer just about seeking revenge. It was about exposing the betrayal in a way that Sarah would never forget. With meticulous precision, Daniel orchestrated the perfect moment for his revelation. He convinced Sarah to host a dinner party, a gathering of close friends and family, under the guise of celebrating their life together. Sarah, oblivious to his true intentions, welcomed the idea enthusiastically. She had no clue that the night would mark the unraveling of everything she had taken for granted. The evening arrived, the house filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and cheerful conversation. Sarah thrived in the spotlight, charming their guests as if nothing were amiss. But Daniel, though calm on the outside, felt the tension coiled tightly within him. Every passing moment brought him closer to his carefully planned reckoning. When the time was right, he stood up, raising his glass to address the room. With a composed yet chilling tone, he slid a set of divorce papers onto the table. The room fell silent, the joyful atmosphere instantly replaced by an air of confusion. Sarah's face twisted in disbelief, her mind struggling to process what was happening. Then, with deliberate precision, Daniel revealed the evidence: messages, photos, proof of her infidelity, one by one, for everyone to see. Gasps rippled through the gathering. The weight of her actions came crashing down on Sarah as the reality of her exposure set in. Pleas for privacy and desperate apologies spilled from her lips, but Daniel remained unmoved. He had prepared for this moment. Her regret, her shame, it was too late. As the stunned guests looked on, Daniel turned his attention to Tom, who had been foolish enough to attend the party. Frozen in shock, Tom attempted to slink away, but Daniel wasn't done. With icy precision, he announced his plan to inform Tom's wife, ensuring that the consequences of the betrayal extended beyond that night. The confrontation escalated, the air thick with tension, until Tom, overcome with humiliation, fled the scene. What had begun as a dinner party had transformed into a public reckoning. The perfect image Sarah had so carefully maintained shattered before her eyes. In the weeks that followed, her life spiraled into chaos. The news of her affair spread quickly, and the respect she once commanded among friends and colleagues crumbled. She became a pariah, abandoned by those who once admired her. Tom faced a similar downfall. His marriage disintegrated, his career suffered, and he was left to pick up the broken pieces of his own deception. Daniel, on the other hand, felt no satisfaction in their suffering, only a deep sense of finality. He had no interest in reconciliation, no desire for closure. He had taken control of his life, exposed betrayal, and ensured that the guilty paid the price for their actions. As time passed, Daniel reflected on the experience. The pain of betrayal had been devastating, but it had also awakened a newfound strength within him. He had survived. More than that, he had emerged from the wreckage with clarity, ready to move forward. While Sarah and Tom lived with the consequences of their choices, he refused to let their mistakes define him. He was not a victim. He was a man reborn, stepping into a future that was his to shape.